So recently, my husband and I celebrated our son's first birthday with a couple of friends and our families. And my mother-in-law, Helen, she gave us a pretty pointless gift for our son, which I refused to use. And now she's throwing a fit over it. We already have a car seat, but she gifted us another one, and this one happens to be from my husband's childhood. And it's not even like it was just used for him. It was used for his sister as well. We know that because she boasted about how it had been from one of the top brands back then and had been very expensive because she only wanted the best for her children. Well, so do I. And that's why I refused to use that thing for my baby. Anyway, at the party itself, she insisted that I open the gift right then and there, and I did. And I was obviously very confused when I saw the thing because it clearly looked old and used and rusted and definitely did not look like something I would want to use. After I had opened it, she explained the history of the thing, and I thought that she was giving it to us for sentimental value, but no. She actually expected us to use it instead of the one that we had. And she said that she would love for me to change the car seat in our car right away in front of her so she could take some pictures. She also said that this was supposed to be considered as the baby's gift for the next 10 years until his 10th birthday, when she would give him something else of higher emotional value. But until then, we would have to make do with this wonderful thing. I didn't want to insult her in front of everyone, so I told her that I would make the change later because everyone was there and I didn't want to keep everyone waiting. But she said that all the guests could come out and see the change being made. I tried to come up with excuses, and so did my husband, because he could see that there was no way we could use this car seat. But we didn't want to hurt her feelings, and yet she kept insisting on it. After one point in time, I just couldn't take it anymore. I told her very bluntly that the only reason we were not willing to make the change in the car seat was because this thing was old and rusted to the degree where it could be considered a safety hazard to put a baby in it. And we're not going to be using it. I couldn't keep arguing with her endlessly, so I just told her the truth, and she should have been understanding, but instead she looked very hurt and started telling me that whatever I had said was very insulting, and she was going to leave right away because clearly we did not know how to value gifts like these. And maybe she's right. I don't want to value something like that because it belongs in the garbage and not in my car or anywhere near my baby. She can keep it however long she wants to. That's her personal choice, but I don't want it. Anyway, after I said I wouldn't have it, she started being dramatic, and like I said, she started saying that she would leave because clearly we don't know how to appreciate things. And the rest of the family started trying to console her, including my husband. I didn't hold that against him because I can understand why he did not want her to ruin our child's first birthday party with her behavior. But I found it very annoying that she was even trying to make it all about herself, knowing that the gift that she had given us was not appropriate. She went on and on for a couple of minutes about how I was being too materialistic and how she was just a poor grandmother trying to do something nice. And I should be grateful instead of nitpicking. And I would have been grateful for sure if it had just been a gift for sentimental value. But if she genuinely expected us to use it, she was just being stupid. Besides, it's not like I expected anything from her that would be way too expensive. I know that she's a widow, and I know that she lives off the money that her husband has left her and needs help from my husband with her finances. I know all of that. So I don't expect her to go out of her way to get us expensive gifts. In fact, I would have been perfectly happy even if she didn't get us anything and just showed up for the party. But she went out of her way to do this for us. And then she went out of her way to make everything about herself, which was pretty annoying. And she just kept whining about the whole thing to the extent where I got really annoyed. And even my husband started telling her that she was dragging this out and that we needed to get back to the party, and it was not nice of her to behave like this in front of everyone. She didn't care though. She just kept on complaining and grumbling about how we were treating her. At one point, I lost it, and I told her that if she seriously expected us to use that gift, she was clearly in over her own head, and I don't want to make her feel bad. That was never my intention, but she's going out of her way to make us feel guilty for doing the rational and reasonable thing. Then I told her that if she seriously felt so offended because of us, then she was free to leave and we were not going to hold her back anymore because we have a party to get back to. And it's my son's first birthday party. I don't want it to go to waste. When I said that, she got very annoyed. And finally, she stormed off and we went back to the party. But of course, after that incident, things got a bit awkward and everyone left pretty quickly. And I blame my mother-in-law for this wholeheartedly. I don't think that any of this was my fault, but a couple of people from my husband's family are bent on making me the bad guy and demanding that I apologize to Helen. My husband doesn't think that I need to do that, but clearly Helen has been talking to everyone about our behavior and what happened at the party, and a bunch of people from his family have reached out to let me know that what they have heard is not nice and they didn't expect this from me and blah blah blah. So I need to ask AITA for telling my mother-in-law that if she wanted to leave, then she could, and I didn't want her ruining my baby's first birthday party. Update 1. Hey, thank you so much, everyone, for all the supportive comments and DMs. My husband and I have decided that we are just going to ignore all the messages that we've been receiving from his family, telling us to apologize, because I've realized that a lot of people who have reached out to me were not even there at the party. It took us a couple of days to realize that because honestly, we were so flustered with the whole situation that we didn't take note of who exactly was sending us these messages. They had been invited, but they, for whatever reason, had not been able to make it to the party, and that was completely fine. But if they were not here, then they had no right to judge me because they didn't know exactly what went down. They only know whatever version of things Helen has been telling them. And that's not a fair way to judge me. Besides, whatever's going on is between me and Helen, and they don't have to get involved in this. Even if Helen has been reaching out to them and telling them about how I have offended her, they don't have to come out and start attacking me. They can choose to remain uninvolved because I think that would be the best thing to do in a situation where they don't know all the facts. But anyway, they have made their choice, and they have chosen to start telling me how disappointing my behavior is, and I'm not going to take that kind of thing. So I'm ignoring them for now. And if they try to overstep their boundaries, then I'm just going to block them out of my life. Anyway, it's not like I'm very close to any of these people. They are my husband's relatives, but not mine, so I don't have to put up with any of this if I don't want to. Keeping that aside, things with Helen herself have not been that great either. As if getting people from the family to do her dirty work and reaching out to us to get us to apologize was not bad enough, she's been trying to guilt my husband into getting me to apologize nonstop. And not just that, she wants me to apologize to her publicly on some social media platform so that everyone can see that I'm sorry, because she thinks that since I had disrespected her publicly, I need to make it right in public as well, because otherwise it's just humiliating for her. She's been trying to make him feel guilty. She's been bringing up how she's completely on her own and how, as her only son, he should be supporting her right now instead of abandoning her like this. I don't know why she's bringing up the fact that he is her only son, like she does have another child, his sister, and she's just as capable as he is. But I don't find that surprising, to be very honest, because she's always been slightly biased towards her son. I actually do feel bad for my sister-in-law because she's always tried so hard to make Helen like her, just as much as she likes my husband. But I guess she has a favorite child and she doesn't bother to hide it. Even on the day of the party, my sister-in-law had tried to console Helen, but she had been unresponsive and ignored her own daughter until my husband went to her and tried to set things right. That's how she treats her own daughter, so I'm not surprised that she's treating me like this, because clearly nothing is more important to her than herself and what she wants, even if it comes at the cost of the peace and stability of her family. She can't be bothered to care about any of that, but whatever. My husband is not falling for her tactics, and so far he has just been ignoring her. For him, of course, it's not an option to block her because she does depend on him a lot, and he doesn't want to totally abandon her, but he is definitely cutting down on contact with her. And I think that's totally fine, to be very honest. I don't want him to totally abandon her either, because I think I wouldn't be able to live with myself if that happened. And I would feel very bad. She can be however she wants. I'm a soft-hearted person. I don't want to be somebody who creates situations like that. I know that she wouldn't depend on her daughter the way that she depends on my husband, so this is the only way that things can work for now. It's inconvenient, it's not really great, but then it is what it is, at least for now. Update 2. Hey everyone, so it's been 9 days since the party and since that incident. I've been ignoring anyone who's tried to speak to me about the fallout between me and Helen because I don't think it's anybody else's business, and I want to deal with this in a dignified way, but clearly that's not what Helen wants, because she's been running her mouth off about me, telling everyone about what a horrible person I am. Like I had said, a bunch of people from my husband's family reached out to let me know that they were very disappointed and they wanted me to apologize to Helen, but I ignored them. I didn't respond. And even Helen herself had been trying to guilt trip my husband into getting me to apologize to her publicly, but he had been ignoring her as well. And we thought that if we just didn't acknowledge any of this, things would blow over quickly, because I really didn't think that she would drag it out so far. But I was mistaken, because last evening my phone started buzzing with notifications. When I checked, it was just a bunch of people messaging me and telling me to check out Facebook. And these were people who I get along well with from my husband's family. So even before I went onto Facebook, I knew that my mother-in-law must have done something, and I was right. Helen had posted a bunch of pictures of all three of us together. Me, her, my husband. In the caption, though, she had gone on and on about how I had broken her heart and how I had been manipulating her son against her for a while now, for almost 3 paragraphs. And they were pretty long paragraphs as well, mind you. I'll try to keep it short. I don't think that we need to talk about the whole thing. But the gist of it was that she feels heartbroken about what happened at the party, and even worse, about the fact that I don't even think I need to apologize to her for how I behaved, for how I disrespected her and insulted the gift that she had brought along with herself, because it was not the kind of expensive thing that I wanted. I mean, talk about missing the point completely. She's still insisting I didn't like the gift because it was not expensive, when that was not the case at all, and that's not even what I said. I made it very clear to her, even on the day of the party, that I didn't want to use that gift because it was old and I didn't think that it was safe. Money had nothing to do with it. And even if I'm the kind of materialistic and greedy person she claims I am, she doesn't need to worry about it because I honestly don't expect things from her. Anyway, after reading that whole thing, I was only angry about one single thing. And that was what I mentioned. I was angry about the fact that she was making me out to be some money-minded, materialistic, greedy person, which I really am not. Honestly, the only thing that I was worried about that gift was the safety issue. That's it. I can't stand people who lie and make up things just to make themselves look better. And that's exactly what she was doing. If she had just spoken about how hurt she was because of our behavior, I wouldn't even have cared about that post because it's really not that big of a deal for me. But the fact that she was lying about me and trying to push a narrative that was completely false, that was what got to me. So I was forced to comment on it and clear things up on my side, and I just reiterated whatever I had said on the day of the party once again. I don't even understand why she's making such a big deal out of this. I just think that she can't accept the fact that I didn't like her gift and that it was totally unnecessary. But just because it's her gift, she thinks it should be prioritized over everybody else's. Anyway, my husband and I were both very upset about this whole thing because I don't really care what everyone else believes, but at the same time, I don't think that it's right for her to be pushing a narrative like this in the first place. So while I commented on her post, my husband tried to get her to take that post down in its entirety by calling her and texting her, but now she was the one ignoring us. It's very sad that she thinks she's getting back at us or anything, when in reality she's just losing all respect and turning her own son against her. In fact, after this, she's going to find it more difficult to even be able to visit her son and her grandson. And it's going to be all thanks to her own behavior. She's not even going to have anybody to blame for any of this. But yes, that was last evening. And the post has stayed up. But my comment had been deleted a couple of hours after I posted it. And in the comments section, everyone is bashing me left, right, and center without even knowing the full facts. The people who are on my side have tried to defend me, but I've been told that even their comments have been deleted. She hasn't blocked me though, so I don't know what's going on. I don't know what she's trying to establish, but this morning I put up my own post clarifying whatever had happened, even though I was really not inclined towards doing it. But I think it's important for me to put out my side of the story as well. I honestly don't know what to say anymore. This is all just getting way too ridiculous for me. Update 3. So it's been a couple of hours since my last update, and like I said, I put up my own post this morning to clarify whatever had happened from my end. After that, when I tried to check her post, I realized that I had been blocked, so I guess it took this long to do that. But it doesn't matter because people who are on my side have been sending me screenshots, and it's been established that the family is pretty much divided right now. There are people who believe her version of things, and there are people who are actually there at the party and believe me. Unfortunately, the number of people who believe me and are on my side are much smaller if I'm speaking about just the people on my husband's side of the family. Because even though a bunch of them were present at the party, a lot of them have chosen to be neutral and stayed out of this, which I respect, but it makes the whole situation look overwhelmingly one-sided in Helen's favor. But I can't choose to care about stuff like that. I'm just choosing to see the positives of everything. For instance, at least my husband is on my side. My family is with me. My friends are with me. And yes, even some people from my husband's family have made it very clear that they support me in this whole thing. And most importantly, the reason I'm even posting this update right now, My sister-in-law is on my side here. It was quite shocking because I thought that she would take the opportunity to get on her mom's side, something that she's been trying to do for years. But instead, she decided to side with me and actually did the right thing. She commented on my post, telling me that she was there and that she knows the truth. And I don't have to worry about karma or anything because it always strikes when people least expect it. So whoever wants to say nasty things against me can continue to do so. But they are just making things worse for themselves in the long run, and it's their short-sightedness that will take them down. And I totally agree with her, but I was kind of taken aback that she had taken my side on this. So I decided to call her after I saw her comment, and I told her that I was really thankful because I knew that it was probably tough for her to go against her mother. But she told me that it was actually not a difficult decision at all, because apparently in the past couple of days her mom has been trying to be on better terms with her all of a sudden, and the whole thing is so pathetically transparent that she suddenly realized she doesn't need her mom's validation anymore. So she decided to cut her off, and she told her mom that she was not going to be speaking to her until she did the right thing and made amends with us. That ticked her off. They got into a fight, but my sister-in-law doesn't seem to care, and I'm really proud of her for standing up for herself and for us, but mostly for herself because I know how hard it's been for her. I've witnessed it firsthand, and I think this was a long time coming. So anyway, my sister-in-law is on my side as well, and I think with both her kids against her, she's not going to be able to drag this out for too long. Because after one point in time, I'm pretty sure that the rest of the family who was siding with her and riling her up right now to speak against us will forget about all this and move on to some other sort of drama, because people like this usually turn out to be the ones who never stick by your side when you're actually in trouble. And after that, she's going to have to come crawling back to us, to my husband, to be more precise, and then what? Besides, even if she can live without speaking to her daughter, I know for a fact that she can't go on without speaking to her son, and she's definitely not going to want to sacrifice her time with her grandson. So at the end of the day, we are all that she has, and she knows that. Or at least I hope she knows that, because otherwise it's just going to be very embarrassing for her when she eventually has to come back to us. I know the fact that these people who are with her right now will not help her out financially, like my husband has. They will not care for her like my husband has, and that's the sad part of it all, you know. The fact that she can't see any of this, the fact that she can only do what inflates her ego without thinking about the long-term implications of whatever she's up to. It's just really sad. But then again, I think these are situations where you have to come to certain conclusions yourself. She has to realize on her own that what she's doing is not right. And when she does, I'm just hoping that it's not too late. Because I know my husband is upset right now, but the more time that passes without an apology, the more hurt he'll be, and that will ruin her chances of reconciling with him. And that will weigh the heaviest on her own conscience in the long run. Anyway, I don't think that she's aware of any of this right now. She's just doing whatever she thinks is right without caring for anything else, and it's definitely going to backfire at some point. I know that for a fact. Update 4. Hey, so it's been a week and a half since my last update, and things have been quiet for the most part. A lot of people had been commenting on Helen's post, telling her that she was right and that we were disrespectful and that we owed her an apology. And she was happily lapping it all up until it died down. Of course, that was bound to happen at some point. I don't know how she didn't realize it. Anyway, 2 days ago, she decided to take that post down because nobody had commented on it for quite a while. My post had been taken down earlier because I didn't think that this was something worth keeping up. Besides, I know that the people who wanted to be with me on this would be with me, regardless of the existence of the post or not. So I was laid back about this whole thing. And when I was told that even she had taken her post down, I thought that this had finally come to an end. But then today in the morning, my husband told him that Helen had reached out to him again. She had unblocked him and had sent him a text saying that she was appalled that even after everything that had happened, I am still too proud to acknowledge my mistake and apologize. I don't understand why she thinks that this is something about pride and ego or whatever, when it's really not. It's just about who's right and who's wrong, and I know for a fact that I'm right here, and that's it. If I were wrong, I most definitely would have apologized, but she doesn't deserve that. Anyway, in the text, she said that she was shocked at our audacity and she couldn't believe that even after so many people had said that I should apologize to her and that I owed it to her, I was still refusing to do that. She then brought out the big guns and started saying that as an elderly person, she deserved a modicum of respect. And it was horrifying that I couldn't even give her that much. And my husband was supporting me in this, forgetting about the fact that this is his mother that I'm insulting. She insinuated that if I could disrespect her, then there was no limit to what I would do in the long run, and this was just me showing my true colors, so he should be warned and not take it lightly. For the record, not that it's relevant, but my husband and I have been together for the past 6 years. We've been married for 4 years. In all this time, if my husband hasn't been able to realize my true colors, as she puts it, then it would be quite a huge failure on his part. But anyway, we didn't even bother to reply to that message, because what do we even say to something like that? It's more than clear that in her head, she's always going to be the victim, and I think I'm done dealing with all this nonsense. I have my child to deal with. I have a lot of other things on my plate as well, because I'm working on my business too. I don't think I have to make this my problem. It's her problem. She's the one who has an issue with me. And if she wants to, she can solve it. And if she doesn't, that's up to her as well. I'm done. I'm out of this mess for good. Update 5. So it's been a couple of weeks since my last update. And since then, Helen had not contacted me on my husband. And we found that a bit surprising because it's been quite a while that she spoke to us. And we were wondering how she was getting by, because she usually does need some help here and there sometimes. It's either with money or to do her a favor, like taking her to the doctor. So we were kind of confused about how she was getting by, but then my husband spoke to his sister and basically Helen played it very cleverly. She knew that if she wanted her help, she would have to apologize, and she did not want to buckle down in front of us. So she decided to start buttering my sister-in-law, and even though my sister-in-law has completely forgiven her mom, she still only talks to her when Helen reaches out first to ask for help. At least she's helping her out, because somebody should be there for her. And I don't have a problem with that. I think this works out well for all of us. So whatever. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.